Hi everyone, welcome back for the first episode of the year. With me, as always, the Commandant. Hello, Commandant.
Oh, hello, George. How are you on this finest of days?
I've approached the new year confidently, Luigi, awaiting all that it will reveal, all the spicy stuff that will succumb on us. How are you?
Oh, very well, very well. I'm watching the latest developments an extremely keen interest. Let's say a lot has happened since we spoke last.
We have some news. Mainly, we've got Korean news, South Korea. I'm not gonna make the joke again with Kim. South Korean news, and we've got the divided states. I'm gonna make it a thing, Luigi.
The
Not so united anymore.
divided states of Maga America.
We've got a mini civil war. Which one do you want to tackle? Do you want to do the divided states or
Uh,
South Korea?
let's start with the divided states.
With the juicy stuff. Let's start with the juicy stuff. We had a minor civil war, people, a Maga Civil War for H-1B visas, unless I'm mistaken. Um, Elon wanted more H-1B visas because, according to him, the best and brightest have to be lured in the United States so that the United States can, and I quote, win. So in order to win, he wants more H-1B visas for tech work. I think the row started because Trump appointed an Indian-born venture capitalist to be his advisor on AI. Now, I don't exactly know how the advice on AI correlates one-to-one to immigration policy, but the row began because of that. And we've ended up with Elon on one side supporting H-1B visas, and a bunch of the usual suspects, Sloppy Steve, Lara Loomer. You remember her? She's the one who advised Trump about the eating the dogs fiasco. I'm gonna call
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it.
Fiasco is a deserving word for that
Yes,
one.
they're on the other side arguing, obviously, for less H-1B visas, less visas in general, folks. I think it's the argument. I think it's the argument that Trump was alluding to during his re-election campaign this time. I'm gonna note, Luigi, before we discuss, that he did limit H-1B visas in his first presidency. And now seems to have U-turned on that. I mean, I have to give it to you. I have to give it to you, brother. I mean, you've been saying it since the start. It's a little bit of a show, the immigration talk, and it seems that's the way. I mean, you still got Stephen Miller and the Holman who are gonna be in charge of immigration stuff, but I mean, he has U-turned on H1, and he's usually vague. But I mean, when you go on a rally and spend three-quarters of an hour and a half talking about immigrants raping your women folk, people get the sense that you're anti-immigration. So I'm gonna
But
call it a U-turn, Luigi. That even though he has never been 100% clear on his immigration policy, as he has always never been clear on any of his policies.
bingo.
Sorry, yes, Luigi, sorry.
He's been perfectly clear on one thing since the very beginning. Trump sides with capital at every step of the way, with the billionaires and the people who fund his campaigns. He will turn on any political view he has on a dime if the donor class demands it, and demand it we have been, George.
Openly and proudly, I would say, Sir Elon of South Africa was pretty adamant in his demands, yes. And so should we make clear who are his primary funders then this time around? Oil interests, Elon, and Sheldon and Adelson. Again, talking about Miriam Adelson. Sheldon died a few years back. So we're talking pro-Israel interests is what I'm saying. Those are his primary funders. Um, the
I might
rest he will act according to his gut feelings.
the rest go without even the need to mention them, like the pro-business kind of lobby, the let's lower taxes for everyone kind of lobby.
Goes without saying. And
Yeah.
the
I
only
mean
thing Republicans can agree on.
the Chamber of Commerce folks.
Interests,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had this. We know, did we know Trump sided with Elon openly?
Yeah.
So, I mean, a
So
U-turn, yeah.
let's take a small step back for the audience as well. So H-1B visas are special kind of visas that non-US born workers can get to work in the US for a limited time period, if I
I
am
think
not
a
mistaken.
3 year duration, and then you gotta renew. But I mean,
So
it's not the specific point because I don't even know how an AI advisor fucking fits into this whole thing. But I think it portends coming immigration, let's call them wedge points, dividing
mhm.
points in the MAGA arena of ideas. A beautiful arena full of ideas.
Beautiful, yeah. I mean, strange ideas to say the least.
But
Look,
beautiful. Life is strange. Yeah, so.
so here's what I think the important part is. So you have a lot of Trump loyalists that actually are very serious on the immigration issue, like people like Stephen Bannon and so on, Sloppy Steve, like you said. And then on the other side, you've got the people who are just, let's say, the MAGA tourists that
The
supported the
oligarchs
campaign. Yeah, the oligarchs, people like Elon. And inevitably, I think you would see a rift between them because clearly Elon doesn't feel strongly about immigration policy, but he does feel strongly about his own profits. And this is something that affects his business interests, right?
being an
So
immigrant himself, I would know. Yeah.
the funniest part for me is that we're seeing this, huge, let's call it a civil war within the Trump movement. And Trump hasn't even come into office yet, which shows you how fractured that political alliance was even before, like,
It's a
before
very
he even took
fragile
office.
alliance. It's a very fragile alliance because what they're selling to the working class, they cannot deliver without not delivering for their pro-business interests,
Yeah.
e.g. Elon. So they're in a very precarious situation. Trump has to balance it. He usually does it by fear-mongering about immigrants. But now he's U-turned on immigrants because when the business interests clash with that fear-mongering, the business interests take precedence.
Exactly. As
We're gonna sell
summarized,
it, Luigi. It's not a problem.
summarized brilliantly. I
He
mean,
loves H-1B visas. He uses them for his properties.
but he
Let's take it
wouldn't.
for a ride, Luigi. I just want to say that all the
Yeah.
fucking right-wing voters, brothers and sisters, you're being taken for a fucking ride.
Welcome to 8 years ago.
Welcome to politics. Enjoy your stay. You're gonna love it. So,
Yeah.
should we finish out with the United States with the two, I'm gonna call them, I mean, one terror, two terrorist attacks. The act was supposed to inspire terror. So let's go to terrorist attacks. We had one in New Orleans with a pickup truck where I think they hoisted an ISIS flag on it and
Yes.
drove through a crowd of people, an ex-army guy, and then we had another ex-army guy or a current army guy. This guy was a Green Beret as well. So I mean, pretty
Yeah.
high
Special
army
forces.
chair, special
Mhm.
forces. He's the guy who fitted up a cyber truck with explosives and then blew it up outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. I don't think some people may have died. Let me check. Let me check.
I think for the first one it was 15 people dead. For the one that they drove into a crowd, I believe it was in New Orleans. Um, Either way, does this speak, George? I want your take on this. Does it speak to the larger sort of, let's call it mental disease epidemic that
Yeah,
is very prevalent among
definitely. Let me just know that was just I just wanted to see the second one with the cyber truck. Seven bystanders were wounded,
one
and
dead,
and the guy who died is the guy who who
the
was
terrorist.
the
Yeah.
terrorist, let's say. So that one did not have any deaths of bystanders. First one did, a lot of them. First one was radicalized, basically was for ISIS at this point, right?
Yeah, that's what the reports are saying, at least, that he was flying an ISIS flag on the car. But I'm wondering about the motives behind these attacks. This is just like someone, an ex-army veteran that. suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, becoming radicalized on the internet. Is that like the MO we are looking at, the
There were
profile?
a bunch of false rumors going around that the two were connected, but the only connection appears to be that they both served in the army, basically. There's no other connection. They don't communicate with each other prior to the attacks. One was the one in New Orleans who drove the truck through a crowd of people, basically was radicalized to Islamic terrorism. Uh, the other one, not so clear, but he did attack. I mean, he did blow up a truck, an Elon cyber truck outside the Trump hotel. Seems to have been radicalized in another direction, let's say.
Yeah,
Uh, but the first one clearly radicalized by ISIS. They found his recordings online. He was talking against sinning, against in praise of Allah, and then he posted a bunch of videos right before the attack, talking about committing a mass murder attack. Uh,
yeah,
Back
pretty
to
crazy. Yeah,
2015. What are
yeah,
we
yeah.
gonna call it?
Look, tragic events. I'm kind of happy that over the last few years, at least, this has been a less frequent phenomenon, but clearly it's not over.
And there was one, Luigi. There was one in Germany recently with the Christmas market. Another, let's call it Islamic terrorism inspired attack.
Yeah,
So there's been a bit of a resurgence lately. We
indeed.
also had, developments in Syria. I'm not going to call them straight out ISIS, but sort of pivoting towards that direction, winning that war.
Yeah,
So we've
yeah,
got establishing full control of Syria. And then we had developments in Afghanistan as well, with the Taliban taking over. We don't know how that works out in terms of ISIS. Uh, are things to keep in mind.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Look, pretty tragic. I don't think we can make fun of terror attacks, so
No,
let's
no.
let's let's move
Let's
forward,
move
maybe.
on to
Yeah,
South
yeah,
Korea then, which
yeah,
we had, I mean, another tragedy, another major tragedy with the aeroplane that
yeah,
crashed into an embankment, blew up. Everybody apart from two people right at the back died. Terrible tragedy. I read into it. I mean, at the start, you were talking about maybe the embankment was at fault, and there were things to consider about that. But I mean, at the end of it, it was 250 meters, according to guidance, where it was placed. It's more so a bunch of questions about why did the landing gear not retract? Even though there's fail safes for it, there's layers of redundancies to these things. It can also, if the hydraulics don't work, as far as I've read, you can lower that thing just by gravity. So there's questions: why didn't they lower the landing gear? Why did the slats and of the aeroplane, because they've got things that increase drag and slow it down? Why were they not deployed? Why did he land? Because he was attempting a belly landing without the
yes,
landing. Why did he land halfway down the airstrip? Why did he land with tailwinds? Because makes sense. Apparently, they land against the wind so that it slows the airplane down. He landed with the wind. So, I mean, it was basically careening down full speed down the runway and then blew up when it hit the embankment. I think the question is, even if there was no embankment, would it go? I mean, it would fall into the various structures further on because it wouldn't have slowed down. It was going too fast. And we don't know why. We don't know why this series of catastrophic failures happened and this massive tragedy transpired. And the investigations are happening. I think they collected, Luigi, there's two black boxes. The
hmm
cockpit voice recorder, I think that's relatively unharmed, and they're going to have the audio soon in a couple of days. The other one, the black box one, the other black box that has the data flight recorder, that one was very damaged and has to be transported to the United States to figure out if they can salvage anything out of it. That's
yeah,
the information I've got on the terrible tragedy, on this crash.
yeah. Which is one of the which was recorded live, unfortunately, has been on every news channel, has been playing on every news channel across the world. Look, huge tragedy, aviation safety questions all around, but politically speaking, I don't see this playing into anything
It's not
larger.
good because
What's
South Korea we're going to talk about this as well, is also going through a massive political crisis.
exactly?
So you've got this piled on as well. go to the
Yeah.
political crisis aspect of South Korean news. Oh God, they've attempted to arrest Crazy Yoon. We're going to change the nickname. We think it fits better than Crazy Suk. Anti-feminist icon. We've discussed the guy last time. A living legend. Declared martial law because he got his panties in a twist because he was losing too much in elections. Didn't get away with it, but so far has been managed to keep getting away from getting arrested because he refuses to go to submit himself for questioning regarding his attempted insurrection. Some have called it, he's being prosecuted for. He's resisting questioning, and I think he's playing it. He's dragging it on to see what happens with the constitutional judges and how they rule, which the bench isn't full. That's why they impeached the second president, people. Were three presidents in. Yoon, the second guy, were three in. Second guy, he got impeached because he wouldn't fill the bench. There's 6 out of 9 judges. They need 6 out of 9 to vote in favor of impeachment for the impeachment to hold. And the second guy wouldn't put three more on the bench. So we're still 6-9. Six, it has to be a unanimous decision, essentially, to get Yoon impeached. And Yoon is playing it, is dragging the whole proceedings with the anti-corruption investigation officials. So he sees what happens. I mean, my estimate is praying that maybe one of the six doesn't vote in favor of that and he manages to stay on as president. But they're still trying to arrest him. They attempted an arrest warrant, I think, on Friday, and they couldn't pull it off because the Presidential Security Services uh, resisted the arrest. They formed a human shield essentially and blocked about 150 police officers and corruption investigation officials
Wow.
from literally reaching Yoon to
Wow.
arrest him. Yeah, it's
An,
interesting
im-
times.
an impressive human shield.
An impressive human shield. I mean, a legend, Crazy Yoon. We've discussed him. He's
Yeah, yeah.
resisting arrest, Luigi.
Emboldened in every scandal, like you can name, like from personal corruption to attempting an actual coup.
And
Yeah,
insider trading, as you mentioned.
insider
I
trading,
didn't look deep into it, but there have been allegations of that as well.
indeed. The fact that the guy is still surviving politically is, in political terms, a miracle. Let's put it
Hanging
that
by a
way.
thread, though,
Yeah,
let's call
yeah,
it.
yeah. By a
Literally,
hair, by
by a bunch of human shields.
by a hair on a windy day.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what's happening. The arrest warrant will expire. They can seek an extension, of course, and we'll keep our eye on the development. They've already arrested the defense minister, the police chief, and a bunch of military commanders. I mean, far be it from me to tell you, obviously the acting president should command the fucking presidential security services to stand down. But, the acting president being from the same party, I think plays a role in his trepidation to act according to what is right. You've become a fucking laughingstock, South Korea, in a month. What the
You know,
fuck?
for no reason
For
at
no
all.
reason. Impeach this motherfucker. Get rid of him. He's no good. No good.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, Blinken, I think, is visiting. Wow.
Blinken, wow,
Wow.
wow, wow. So the US,
Korea
yeah.
saved.
So let's call him the US secretary. Yeah, Blinken is gonna be out of a job in what, like 13 days,
Who's gonna be the
15 days.
new? I forgot. Who's gonna be the new foreign secretary? Rubio.
Escapes. Yes,
Rubio.
indeed. Marco, little
Little
Marco.
Rubio. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be
Uh,
much more fun than Blinken. Blinken is a bit of a non-entity. I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest. To
yeah.
be honest, Rubio is
Marco
gonna give
Rubio,
us some.
Marco Rubio, we have to remind the people, has been praised as one of the most moderate, let's say, voices in the incoming Trump administration. And the guy's, for all intents and purposes, a war hawk
Yes.
in every issue he has seen. So the fact that he is the moderate says a lot about the other people on that team that we're about to enjoy over the next 4 years.
Goes to tell you a lot about the state of the dream team, Luigi, that is about to embark on one heck of a journey. And it's
The
going to be dragging, yeah, go on,
divided states,
on the divided states, and it's going to be dragging the rest of us along with them.
as always happens whenever,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Do we have any other news? Mike Johnson, congratulations, Christian Mike, the new Christian Mike. We had the previous Christian Mike. This one, the new model, he got re-elected as House Speaker by one fucking vote. One, just one. He couldn't lose more than one, he lost one. Congratulations, by the way, to Massey, the Republican who voted against him. Respect. I have to respect him.
And break it down for us. What does this mean for the next 2 years at
That
least?
means that a single fucking Republican can hold the House of Congress hostage to get whatever coca maybe fucking insane idea he wants fucking driven through Congress. And
Spoiler,
basically, which with they will not accept. So basically, what will happen is complete utter fucking gridlock. They're gonna be able
deadlock.
to pass fuck all, basically.
Exactly. Which at the very least makes our job more entertaining, but
And
at the worst
gives
means
less ammunition for Trump to sign into
bingo.
into law.
And most likely, what this translates into are things like government shutdowns becoming more frequent and so on, budgets not being able to be passed. It's gonna be
We had a lot
fun.
of them during Trump's last reign. You remember, it was always about the funding for the wall, which he never finished. But we had a lot of those. We had a lot of those semi-shutdowns.
But this time, it's even more important, right? Because Trump is coming in, and like the previous administration, I imagine the big ticket on the list is gonna be cutting taxes, but getting like trying to cut taxes on mathematics that don't really make sense when you have a single person majority in the House is going to be challenging. So
Yes, yes.
there is a chance that we don't really see the Trump tax cuts we saw last time around. But knowing the Republican Party and how beholden it is to its donors,
It's about the only thing they can agree on at this point.
exactly, exactly. So, it's going to be difficult, but I think we will see tax reform, and I use reform in the very loose sense of the word. I think we're going to see some of that happening, but that's about the only thing that's going to be passing from this Congress.
I call it shitting through tax policy. We shit it out and it prospers, it fills up the land and it's sticky. It's nice.
Trickle
Yeah.
down shit economics.
Trickle down economics. But I think it's about the only thing they can manage to get through at this point, which is, wow, remarkable
Yeah.
for a political party that once started with the emancipation of slaves. How low have we fallen?
I think can always get lower
Yeah,
if, I mean,
definitely.
yeah, considering the quality of politicians that the Republican Party has been brewing for many years now.
Yes. Let's
Yeah,
end it at that, Luigi.
on that optimistic of
On
notes.
that, I think, I mean, we've covered enough for this year, for this episode. We'll see what happens
Um,
in the following days and report accordingly, Luigi. Haven't seen anything yet.
as we approach Trump's inauguration, that's like the 19th of January.
Is it the
I think we're
19th?
the 19th or 20th. We're gonna
Next
keep hearing.
episode on the 25th, people. It's going to be amazing.
We're gonna get a lot of spicy Trump news by then, I'm sure, as we always do.
Okay.
Alrighty then. Thanks, George. Thank you to the viewers. Like, subscribe, support the channel.
Support us, people. We love it. Yes. Thank you,
All
folks.
right.
Thank you for listening and see you soon. Bye bye.
Sayonara.